She sat across from me at the kitchen table, her fingers trembling as they toyed with the rim of her coffee mug. Spinning it slowly like stalling could somehow rewrite what had already been done. Her eyes, once alive with mischief and warmth, now stared into the dark swirl of her drink, hollow and dim with guilt. I said nothing, just watched. She had called me the day before and asked if I could come over, said she needed to talk. But I already knew what it was about. I had known for weeks. The late nights, the lies that didn't quite line up, the distant kisses and the forced smiles. Each one painted a story clearer than any confession ever could. She had cheated. And now here she was, sitting across from me, trying to patch up the very thing she had ripped apart with her own hands. "I made a mistake," she whispered, her voice unsteady like a leaf caught in the wind. I was confused, lonely. I didn't mean for it to happen. Still, I didn't speak, didn't blink, let the silence settle like fog across the room. She waited, expecting something. Tears, outrage, maybe even a flicker of hope that I still loved her. But that moment had passed long ago. The night I found the messages. She had been cautious, clever even, nothing obvious, but not clever enough. The name, the tone, the patterns, they gave it away if you knew where to look. And I had looked. I had studied every word, every emoji, every timestamp until the truth sliced through me like glass. He meant nothing, she added quickly. The words tumbling out like speed could make them weigh less. It was stupid. I ended it. I raised my eyebrows at that. Ended it. As if it were just a story arc she could write out of existence. As if I hadn't spent sleepless nights wondering what I'd done wrong. As if she hadn't shattered something fragile and sacred for the thrill of something fleeting. "You said you needed space," I said finally, voice low and flat. "You said you were working on yourself." I looked straight at her. "Turns out you were working on someone else's husband." Her face drained of all color. She hadn't expected that. That wasn't in her script. She didn't know I had gone beyond suspicion, that I had followed the threads and found the truth, that I had even contacted his wife, a woman just as devastated, just as blindsided. Together, we had uncovered what her lies tried to bury. "I want to fix this," she said, panic creeping into her voice. "We can go to therapy. We can start over. I'll do anything." That's when I slid the envelope across the table. It made barely a sound, just paper brushing wood. Inside were the divorce papers, signed, stamped, final. I hadn't come here to argue or forgive. I came to close the door. She stared at the envelope like it might explode in her hands. Her fingers shook as she opened it, and the moment she understood what it was, her composure crumbled. "Please don't do this," she whispered, her voice breaking as the tears finally came. "It was one mistake. Doesn't our love mean anything?" "It meant everything," I said, quietly. "That's why it hurts so much. That's why I can't stay." She broke then, shoulders shaking with sobs, reaching for me across the table. But I was already on my feet. I had mourned the death of our marriage long before this conversation. I had cried in the dark, screamed into a pillow, stared at the ceiling wondering how someone could so easily throw away everything we'd built. She had missed her chance the moment she chose excitement over loyalty, a stranger over her vows, herself over us. As I walked to the door, she followed behind me, her voice desperate, pleading, "Please, just one more chance. I'll spend the rest of my life making it right." But some wounds don't heal. Some betrayals cut too deep, and time doesn't reach that far. I paused with my hand on the doorknob and looked back one last time at the woman I had once imagined growing old with. "You had one chance," I said softly, "and you threw it away for a thrill." Then I opened the door and stepped outside, leaving her behind in the silence she had made with her own choices.